Hello, beautiful beings. We are gathered here today to talk about me not being able to eat gluten. And I discovered this a few months ago, maybe around September of 2020. And I'm talking about it now because I've been cheating on my gluten-free diet for a while, and I'm just realizing or seeing a lot of the signs that I had before. And so I wanted to share with you all the signs that I have. I have my phone to remember what what these signs are. I have a lot of them. And yeah, just to talk about my experience of how I arrived at the conclusion that I just can't eat gluten, or that I'm gluten intolerant. I'm not sure if I have celiac disease. I have not been to a doctor to test that out, but I will be going in the future. So let's get into it. All right, so I have a lot of signs of gluten intolerance, and depending on how long you've followed me on social media, especially on Instagram back in the day, I was experiencing quite a bit of health issues. So I didn't have health insurance then, I still don't have it now, and basically I would just research the mess out of my symptoms and do my best to heal it naturally with food and lifestyle changes. I'll start by talking about how I came to the conclusion that I was or am more than likely gluten intolerant. So last September I went to see a friend and I stayed with her for 2 weeks, and I was really nervous to stay with her only for the fact that we would have to share a bed, and my husband will tell you I'm a very gassy person, or was a very gassy person. So I was like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna be passing gas in her bed for these 2 weeks. I'm so nervous, and I didn't. And I was kind of confused because at home I'd be lighting it up, and at her house I wasn't as gassy. I wasn't experiencing a lot of the symptoms that I usually experience. And I thought back and I was like, wait a minute, we barely had bread while I was there. We barely had pasta. We barely had anything that included gluten. So I was like, okay. I noticed my symptoms just weren't there. And so when I got back home, my beautiful, wonderful husband is an amazing cook. He loves to cook, thank the heavens. And he had made salmon with pasta and bread. And there was like, of course, vegetables in there. I went to sleep, or I tried to go to sleep that night, like well after we ate, and I was in the most pain. My belly hurt so bad. It was so swollen. Like my belly was hard and swollen. I couldn't lay down flat because I felt like almost heartburn, but I was uncomfortable the whole entire night. And I was like, okay, like I really have to stop, because I wasn't experiencing this before for 2 weeks. And the moment I experienced this is when I have a gluten overload with like pasta and bread. So again, did more research, and I was like, I'm pretty sure I have a gluten intolerance. So I cut back on gluten, and life was just getting better. And then I was weak and went back to eating breads and things with gluten in it, and I noticed the symptoms coming back. So I will share with you the symptoms that I have witnessed and experienced in my body. Right, so the first thing is my bloated or swollen belly. Whenever I eat gluten, my belly is like distended. It's ridiculous. It's like PMS, like the bloating that people with uteruses get right before menstruation, but worse and more extreme. So I noticed that. Another thing that I will notice is pain in my belly, and I will have severe pain to the point where I'm like keeled over holding on to something, just, or I'm breathing like like on the couch. And so it's painful. I don't like it, so I do my best not to put myself through it. Oh, another thing, the third thing is just gassiness. Like I said before, I always thought I was just a gassy person my whole entire life. I don't say my whole entire life. I would probably say my teenage years. I just thought I was gassy. I would just be passing gas all the time, belching like a big burly man, like if you've ever watched Harry Potter, like a Hagrid kind of belch coming out of my 5'5" body. It was it's disturbing, but that's what happened to me about like 30 minutes to like an hour plus after eating gluten. I'm just like belching, passing gas. It's a mess. The fourth thing is headaches. So this happened to me actually like 3 days ago. I just wanted the bread. I'm Jamaican, so I had some festival for breakfast with some cornmeal porridge, which is gluten free, and I made it, by the way, so made all this stuff. Then for dinner I had cornbread. My husband made cornbread, and then the next day for breakfast I had some more of the cornbread with other things, but I had cornbread. I literally, again, I sat down, ate, I went into the kitchen, cleaned up. So again, about 30 minutes after I ate, I started getting like this really bad headache, and I could not concentrate. I sat in front of my computer and just sat there just like dazed. It was so bad. It was like I was high and just like literally foggy. I could not think clearly. So I had to take a nap for about an hour, just, to get my head to calm down. I drank water and then took a nap. And so yeah, I get really bad headaches out of nowhere. Even if I'm hydrated, even if I haven't been on the computer for a long time, I just get headaches, I get brain fog, and that leads to my inability to focus. So earlier this year, I remember talking to my therapist, and she can't diagnose me, but I remember talking to her and being like, I really think I have ADHD. It's always been kind of difficult for me to just like sit still and focus, or I have hyper focus, and it's like usually just not an average level of focus. It's either I have 0 or I'm on 1,000,000. And again, that's one of the signs of gluten intolerance is ADHD, because the brain's just stressed, okay? And the next thing, I think this is number 6 or 7, I don't even remember the number, would be my skin flare-ups. So years ago, about 10 years ago, I started getting these little, it would start off as little bumps right around here and right on my knee. If this was a knee, it would be like in the same spot on top of my elbow, on top of my knee. And since I was a teen, like about 12 or 13, I would get heat rash. Well, they said it was a heat rash, all on my neck, which is not really here now, and you can't really see it. No, you can't really see it. And I remember I went to the doctor for the rash on my knee, and it was a physician's assistant, and I remember he said that it was a fungal infection, which was kind of strange because I'm like, I wash my ass with soap and water and a washcloth and a loofah, like I scrub, so how could I get this fungal infection? Anyways, I noticed that happening more and more, and it would start out as like, sorry, my neighbors are moving in upstairs. It would start out as a little bump that was itchy, and then I would scratch it, and then it would just like get bigger. And that would happen again on my neck, on my elbow, mostly my left elbow, on my knees, and even this year I saw it on my ankle, which whatever. But I noticed that they pop up when I eat gluten. Another skin thing that happens for me is my scalp. Whenever I eat gluten, I have like huge, I thought it was dandruff my whole life. Just thought I had dandruff. And I noticed that when I do not eat gluten, my scalp does not bother me. It usually comes in around right here and around the front. I just thought it was eczema, literally the whole time. And then the last thing is, about 2 years ago, it started happening. For some odd reason, I started getting these little bumps, and they're still kind of here. And again, don't think you can see it, but these little bumps right here on my arms. And I remember even my mom pointed them out. I was like, you're breaking out on your arm? I was like, yeah, this has been happening for a while. And I thought it had to do with the water quality, but it was gluten the whole time. So yeah, it's getting better now because they used to actually be darker, little tiny brown spots, and now it's clearing up. So those are the skin problems that I was experiencing. Okay, on to the next one. Oh, menstrual cramps. So again, I've always had cramps, like bad cramps on day 1 of my menstrual cycle, and as I was looking things up, gluten can cause more painful cramps because the intestines are so swollen, and there's inflammation, and that kind of like sets off your uterus to be like, nah, I'm coming back with the force. So all of that inflammation could increase menstrual cramps. And again, I've noticed that when I don't eat gluten, that I still have cramps, but they're not as debilitating. They're more like, okay, I can like take maybe one ibuprofen, or I don't, what do I take? It's not Tylenol, Motrin. I take one Motrin, and then I'm good for like the entire duration of my menstrual cycle. And I usually only cramp on day 1 and sometimes day 2, depending. So that's another sign. Oh, something that I noticed too was that occasionally I would have mucus in my stool, and I'm very observant with my body. I pay attention to my body, I listen to my body. And so, yeah, I would use the bathroom, and then I'm just like, that's weird, like what did I eat? And I didn't know this was a sign of gluten intolerance until recently. Again, it's not consistent mucus in my stool, but it's usually when I have a very gluten heavy day or a couple of days that I'll notice it in my stool. Also, talking about stool and defecation, I would notice this happened, or is happening to me right now, is for some reason I would get the strong urge to drop a deuce, and nothing comes out. I'm drinking lots of water, I'm eating lots of leafy greens, I'm eating consistently, and my body just doesn't want to do it. Or on the other side, I'll experience looser stools, again for no reason, and I'm always just like, what did I eat? What is happening to my body? Why is it reacting this way? And again, found out that these stool signs are indicators of gluten intolerance. Okay, last 2 things. Brittle nails. So my nails are growing now. I take biotin. But again, my whole life, I just thought that my nails couldn't grow. My hair grows pretty fast, long, like my hair is good, but my nails for some reason would always break. And like you can see some of the shorter ones, they've actually broken, like they just break. But my nails are pretty, I don't know if you can see, my nails are pretty thin. Like I can bend all of my nails. So they'll grow, but this is about like the length that I'll try to keep them cut to, because then they'll just break off. I'm very active with my hands. And the last thing is low iron. So again, I keep saying this, but for actually no, all of my life I thought I just had low iron. I've never gotten tested to see if I was anemic. Again, that will be happening very soon. But I've just always been a naturally cold person. So even right now, like well, no, they're kind of cold. They're cooler, on the cooler side. My toes are usually cold. When I am cold, it takes me a very long time to warm up naturally. In the wintertime, I have the heater like on my feet 24/7. I just don't fare well in the winter, even though I was born and raised in New York. It's just not fun for me. It's actually very painful. Like I can't rearrange things in the freezer or even the fridge for a long time because it hurts my body. Like it hurts my hands so much. So I also have been supplementing with iron pills. But the thing is, if you're gluten intolerant or if you have celiac disease, your intestines aren't really absorbing the things that you need properly. So I just have to get better about not eating gluten so that my intestines, my small intestines can heal, and that the villi in my intestines can absorb all of the nutrients that they can absorb. But those are all of the things that I have experienced, I'm still currently experiencing with my body in relation to gluten. Those are the things that happen to me, or what I notice are exacerbated when I eat gluten. It's just, it tastes great in my mouth. And then my belly and like everything after the esophagus, it's just shambles. And I blame my Taurus moon and my Taurus rising for me wanting to just indulge in all of the wonderful baked goods and bread. I love bread. Yes, so I will be sharing some of the things that I eat in a week, or because I forget. I just forget sometimes to grab the camera, grab my phone to show you all. And I want to show it because, in all honesty, Pinterest has failed me in the sense that gluten-free eating has, or I would say has been taken over, but is controlled by middle-aged white women, and some of those recipes are horrendous and atrocious and should not be considered as food. So I want to share the things that I eat as a Black woman, as a Jamaican woman, as a person that just wants more flavor and soul in my food. So I'll be sharing that with you all because, again, even when I was trying to look on YouTube or on Pinterest, I personally didn't find a lot of people of color, Black people, indigenous people sharing recipes, which is fine. I'll be one of the few that do. So thank you so much for watching this video. Please let me know if you have experienced any of these things. If you are gluten intolerant, if you've been diagnosed with celiac disease, please share your experience below. You do not have to subscribe or even like this video if you don't want to. You have free will, you have a choice. And the last takeaway that I just want to say is to listen to your body and to trust your body. You know your body best. You are your own healer, and yes, the medical system, herbs, all of these other allies and outside forces can help us, but healing definitely starts within. So just trust your body and listen to your body. Look at the signs that your body is trying to show you that something is just not right. Homeostasis ain't happening. All right, y'all. Peace. Have a great day. I'll see you hopefully soon with another video. Bye.